My name is Rachel Chen, and 6 months ago I stood on stage at TechCrunch Disrupt, watching my former boss in the audience as I announced a $12 million Series A funding round. The same man who stole my idea and told me I'd never make it on my own was now watching his company collapse, while mine became the industry standard. It started 2 years ago when I was a senior product designer at a mid-sized tech firm in San Francisco. I'd been there for 4 years, working my way up from junior designer to leading small projects. My boss, Marcus Webb, was the VP of product development. He had the corner office, the executive parking spot, and a reputation for being brilliant. What he actually was, I'd learn, was brilliant at taking credit for other people's work. I'd been working on something in my spare time for months. A new approach to project management software that used AI to predict bottlenecks before they happened. Every company was struggling with remote work coordination, and the existing tools were clunky and reactive. My concept was different. It learned from your team's patterns and adjusted workflows in real time. I called it flow state. I made the mistake of being excited about it. I showed Marcus a prototype during one of our weekly check-ins. I walked him through the interface, explained the algorithm, showed him the beta testing results I'd done with a few freelance teams. His eyes lit up in a way I'd never seen before. "This is incredible, Rachel," he said, leaning forward in his chair. "This could change everything for us. Let me take this to the executive team. We'll need to position it right, get buy-in from the top. You understand?" I understood. I'd worked in corporate long enough to know that good ideas needed executive sponsorship. I trusted him. That was my first mistake. 2 weeks later, Marcus called an all-hands meeting. The entire company gathered in the main conference room. He stood at the front with a presentation on the screen behind him. My presentation, my designs, my algorithm flowcharts. But my name was nowhere on any slide. "I'm excited to announce a new initiative I've been developing," Marcus began, and my stomach dropped. "A revolutionary approach to project management that will position us as industry leaders." He spent 45 minutes presenting flow state as his own idea. He used my exact words, my research, my design philosophy. When people asked questions, he answered with my explanations. The CEO congratulated him. The board members in attendance looked impressed. My colleagues applauded. I sat in the back of the room, feeling like I'd been hollowed out. After the meeting, I walked straight to Marcus's office. I didn't knock. "That was my work," I said, my voice shaking. "Every single piece of that presentation was mine. You know it, I know it, and you just stood up there and took credit for all of it." Marcus looked at me with something close to pity. "Rachel, you're a talented designer, but you don't understand how things work at this level. Ideas are cheap. Execution is everything. And you don't have the experience or the credibility to execute something this big. I'm doing you a favor by running with this. Your name will be in the credits as a contributor." "A contributor?" "I created it." "You created a prototype," he corrected. "I'm turning it into a business strategy. There's a difference. Now I suggest you get back to work and be grateful you're part of something that's going to be very successful." Have you ever had someone steal something from you and then act like they were doing you a favor?
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.
Drop a comment if you know that feeling. I went home that night and didn't sleep. I thought about going to HR. I thought about going over Marcus's head to the CEO. But I'd been in tech long enough to know how these stories ended. He was the VP with relationships and credibility. I was the designer who would look bitter and jealous. Even if they believed me, the best I could hope for was an awkward acknowledgement and a target on my back. By morning, I'd made a different decision. If Marcus wanted flow state that badly, he could have it. But he'd only seen the first version. I had 3 more iterations in my head that were 10 times better. He'd stolen the prototype. I'd build the real thing. I quit that day. No 2 weeks notice. No dramatic exit. I just sent a resignation email and turned in my laptop. Marcus responded within an hour asking if we could talk. I never replied. I spent the next month living off savings and building. I locked myself in my apartment and coded 18 hours a day. I refined the algorithm, rebuilt the interface from scratch, and added features Marcus didn't even know were possible. The version he stole predicted bottlenecks. My new version prevented them entirely by automatically reallocating resources and suggesting workflow optimizations in real time. I called it Momentum. Close enough to flow state to twist the knife, different enough to be legally distinct. By month 2, I had a working beta. I reached out to my network, designers I'd worked with, engineers I'd met at conferences, product managers who always said we should collaborate someday. I offered them early access in exchange for feedback. Within 3 weeks, I had 50 teams testing Momentum. Within 6 weeks, half of them were asking how to pay for it. Marcus's version of Flow State launched in month 3 with a huge company-wide rollout and a press release that called it revolutionary. I watched from my apartment as tech blogs covered the announcement. They were polite but not enthusiastic. The screenshots looked dated because they were from my 6-month-old prototype. I launched Momentum quietly 1 week later. No press release, no announcement, just a simple website and a free trial for the first 100 companies. I posted it on a few product management forums and a couple of Slack communities. It exploded. Within 2 weeks, 5,000 teams had signed up. Within a month, we'd hit 20,000 users. The tech blogs that had covered Flow State started reaching out to me asking about Momentum. They could see it did everything Flow State promised and more. They could see it actually worked. The breakthrough came when a reporter from TechCrunch did a comparison piece. She put Flow State and Momentum side by side and walked through identical use cases. Flow State took 17 clicks and 3 minutes to set up a new project. Momentum took 2 clicks and 15 seconds. Flow State's predictions were right about 60% of the time. Momentum's were right 92% of the time. The headline was brutal: Why Momentum Makes Flow State Look Like Yesterday's News. I was eating ramen in my apartment when my phone started blowing up. Investors I'd never heard of were emailing me. Venture capital firms were requesting meetings. Enterprise companies were asking about implementation timelines. In one day, Momentum went from a scrappy startup to the thing everyone in tech was talking about. Meanwhile, Marcus's company was struggling. I heard through former colleagues that the Flow State rollout had been a disaster. The software was buggy. Teams hated the interface. The AI predictions were inconsistent. Marcus was in damage control mode, promising fixes and updates that kept getting delayed. Then their biggest client switched to Momentum. Then their second biggest. Then 5 more in 1 week. I hired my first employee in month 5, then my second and third. I moved out of my apartment and into a small office in Soma. I brought on a CTO who'd left Google to join us. We raised a seed round of $2 million from an angel investor who'd watched Marcus's presentation and then tried Momentum and immediately knew which one was the future. That's when Marcus reached out. He sent me a LinkedIn message at 11 o'clock on a Thursday night. "Rachel, I saw what you're building. It's impressive. We should talk about how we can work together. There might be an acquisition opportunity here." I didn't respond. 2 weeks later, his CEO reached out. More formal, more desperate. They wanted to discuss a partnership, maybe merge the products, definitely find a way to collaborate moving forward. They mentioned numbers, they mentioned equity, they mentioned everything except the word sorry. I responded to that one. "Thank you for your interest. We're not pursuing partnerships at this time." The Series A came together in month 8. Multiple firms wanted in. We ended up with $12 million, led by the same venture capital firm that had previously invested in Marcus's company. I found out later they'd specifically pulled their follow-on funding from his firm to invest in mine instead. The TechCrunch Disrupt presentation happened in month 9. I stood on stage in front of 2,000 people and walked through Momentum's vision for the future of work. I talked about how traditional management software was built on distrust, on tracking and monitoring. Momentum was built on enablement, on giving teams what they needed before they knew they needed it. Marcus was in the 3rd row. I didn't know he'd be there until I walked on stage and saw him. He looked smaller than I remembered, older. His company had laid off 30% of their staff the week before. The tech press was calling Flow State a cautionary tale about rushing products to market. I didn't mention him. I didn't need to. Everyone in that room knew the story. They knew he'd launched first, and I'd launched better. They knew his company was struggling and mine was thriving. They knew that in tech, being first means nothing if you're not best. After my presentation, reporters asked if I'd comment on flow state's struggles. I said what I'd been practicing for weeks. I don't really follow their product. I'm focused on building momentum. Marcus tried to approach me after, but my CTO intercepted him. I watched from across the room as they had a brief conversation. Later, my CTO told me Marcus had wanted to congratulate me, wanted to tell me there were no hard feelings, wanted to suggest we grab coffee sometime. I never responded to that either. Momentum hit 50,000 users in month 10. We expanded the team to 27 people. We opened an office in New York. Forbes put me on their 30 under 30 list with a headline about disrupting the disruptors. The article mentioned that I'd previously worked at Marcus's company. It mentioned that I'd left to start my own thing. It didn't mention why, and I didn't tell them. Marcus's company shut down their flow state division in month 11. They tried to pivot to something else, some other product that might save them. But the damage was done. Their reputation was that they'd tried to compete with momentum and lost badly. Investors dried up, clients left. Key employees jumped ship. 3 of them joined my company. I hired them because they were talented, not because of where they'd worked before. But I won't lie and say it didn't feel satisfying to offer them better titles, better salaries, and equity in a company that was actually going somewhere. One of them told me that Marcus had a framed screenshot of the flow state announcement in his office, that he'd hung it the day of the press release, proud of what he'd built. He took it down the week Momentum launched. She said he just stared at the wall where it had been for a long time before finally leaving his office. I'm 29 now. Momentum has 73,000 users and counting. We're profitable. We're growing. We have a product roadmap that goes out 3 years. I have a team of people who are smarter than me, who challenge me, who make the company better every single day. And Marcus? His company is limping along. He's no longer VP of product development. Last I heard, he was consulting. The corner office went to someone else. The executive parking spot went to someone else. Everything he thought he'd secured by stealing my work disappeared faster than he could have imagined. I don't hate him anymore. I don't think about him much at all. But when I do, I remember that moment in his office when he told me ideas were cheap and execution was everything. He was right about that. He just didn't understand that he had neither. The idea he stole was incomplete. And his execution was so weak that it created the perfect opportunity for me to show the world what the real version looked like. Sometimes the best revenge isn't fighting back. It's building something so undeniably better that the theft becomes irrelevant. Marcus wanted credit for my idea. Instead, he gave me the motivation to create something he never could have built himself. Last week, a reporter asked me if I'd ever work for someone else again. I smiled and said probably not. She asked if starting Momentum was always the plan. I thought about that dinner table in Marcus's office, about his pity and his condescension, about watching him present my work as his own. No, I told her. But it should have been. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel to watch more revenge and inspiring stories that will make you excited like this one. Where are you watching from? Drop your country in the comments.
Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Turn on bell notification to stay updated for more revenge stories.